In every city, there are stories whispered between the walls. Stories of love, betrayal, and the quiet kind of courage that no one sees until it saves a life. This is one of those stories, of a young woman named Maya, whose trust was broken, and how she found the strength to rebuild not just her life, but the hearts of those around her. Tonight, you'll walk her streets, feel her silence, and witness the moment she turns fear into light. This is the Brooklyn Sting. The light returns. Close your eyes. Listen. Let the story find you. Brooklyn had a way of holding warmth even in its coldest corners. It lived in the smell of coffee from the corner cafes, in the sound of the old man's radio that hummed Sinatra through the open window, in the soft chaos of people who knew too much about one another, and somehow loved that they did. For Maya Thompson, 21 and restless with dreams, this neighborhood was both her cocoon and her cage. Every morning she walked to the cafe on Linden and 7th, a little brick front place called Bean and Thread, where she brewed cappuccinos with frothed hearts and sketched logo ideas on napkins between orders. She wasn't just a barista. She was an artist in waiting, the type who saw the world in layers, colors, shapes, light, but had learned to keep those visions tucked inside. Her dream was small but stubborn, to get into Parsons or Pratt and study graphic design, to build something of her own. The regulars knew her by name. The retired teacher who tipped in quarters, the giggling teens with paint-stained hands, the delivery drivers who joked about her coffee art. It was a neighborhood of watchers, talkers, people who noticed everything, especially the young. And that was why Ethan Morris stood out. He wasn't from this world of morning shifts and folded aprons. He floated around it like something brighter, a part-time photographer, part-time influencer, full-time dreamer with a smile that promised movement. He came into Bean and Thread often, always with a camera hanging from his neck, ordering an oat milk latte he barely drank. To Maya, he was exciting, unpredictable. He saw her sketches once, the little drawings she'd tucked into her apron pocket, and called them beautiful. That word stayed with her all day. In the weeks that followed, he began to walk her home, always talking about lighting, lenses, algorithms, the wild future of online fame. Ethan had a way of making the world sound simpler, lighter, as if happiness could be coded into a filter. At night, she'd lie in bed and scroll through his page. His world was glossy, sunsets, street shots, his face half lit by neon signs. He talked about collabs and brand deals, about followers and numbers as if they were stars in some private sky he was chasing. And when he said, "You should be part of it," Maya felt seen. For once, she wasn't the quiet girl behind the counter. She was someone luminous, captured through his lens. Their relationship unfolded like summer, fast, golden, and a little too bright. They spent long afternoons by the East River, her laughter echoing between brick walls, his hands tracing the light on her skin. There was a tenderness in those moments that felt almost sacred, the kind that makes you believe trust is a permanent thing. But love, as Maya would learn, often begins as a story told through rose-tinted glass. It started innocently. One late evening, Ethan was showing her edits from a new photo shoot, his laptop open, his excitement contagious. He scrolled through a gallery, then looked at her with that half grin. "You know, he said. "If I had you in these shots, my page would blow up." She laughed it off. "I make coffee, Ethan, not content." But the idea stayed. The next week he asked again, this time softer, more intimate. "Just something private, just for me." "You're beautiful, Maya. You don't even see it." She hesitated, then smiled. Because love, when you're young and hopeful, sounds a lot like safety. That night, under the dim amber of her bedroom lamp, she sent him a few photos. They weren't public. They weren't meant to be. They were for him. For the boy who made her believe she was enough. And when he texted, "You're perfect," I'd never show anyone. She believed him. Life carried on. Days blurred into the familiar rhythm of coffee machines and morning chatter. Maya saved every spare tip in a small jar, marked Design School Fund. She was close, just a few months away from sending her application. Her mother, Carla, noticed her glow, the quiet happiness that lingered in her daughter's eyes. Carla was a pillar of the neighborhood, a tall, warm woman with laugh lines and the kind of calm that made people confess things without meaning to. She ran the youth programs at the community center 2 blocks over, where teens came to do homework, talk, or simply exist away from the noise of their homes. Carla had raised Maya alone after her husband passed, building their world with steady hands. She didn't ask many questions about Ethan, not yet. She trusted Maya's judgment, but sometimes, when she watched the two of them walking by, his phone in hand, her head tilted toward him, she felt a quiet unease ripple through her chest. Something unspoken, something she couldn't yet name. Then came autumn. Brooklyn turned gold and gray, leaves swirling through the streets, laughter echoing from the stoop. Maya worked longer hours, saving for her tuition. Ethan talked more about making it big and needing a viral push. He began to drift. He'd show up late to their dates, distracted, checking his phone mid-conversation. When she asked if something was wrong, he'd sigh and talk about how hard it is when no one sees your potential. Maya tried to be patient, to remind him that she believed in him. She even offered to help design his logo. He smiled at that, but his eyes looked distant. One evening, after a long shift, Maya opened her phone to a message that made her chest tighten. It was from Ethan. "You know those photos you sent? They're really good. Too good not to use. I'm thinking of posting one. Tastefully, of course. It could help both of us grow." Her heart dropped. She typed fast, "No, they were private." He replied within seconds, "Relax. I wouldn't post without asking. I just need something to help me stay afloat. Things are rough. You could help me, just this once." Maya stared at the screen, her pulse hammering. It didn't make sense. It wasn't a request. It was pressure. She put the phone down, but her hands trembled. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The warmth of her world, her coffee shop, her dreams, her laughter, all felt thinner now, like a curtain about to tear. The next morning, she walked to work through the chilly air, clutching her coat close. The cafe was noisy, full of familiar faces, but for the first time, she felt separate from it, as if everyone around her could already see what she was hiding. Maya smiled through the day, poured coffees, wiped tables, but inside, she was sinking into something dark and unspoken. And when she checked her phone during a break, there it was again. A new message from Ethan. "If you care about me, you'll help me. 500, that's all. I won't need to post anything. Promise." That was the moment the warmth of everyday life cracked. The moment trust turned to threat and love to fear. Brooklyn still buzzed outside. The laughter, the radio songs, the smell of roasted beans drifting through the window. But for Maya, the sound had changed. Every smile felt like a question. Every whisper like a rumor waiting to begin. And somewhere deep inside her, she knew. The story she'd been living was about to shift. From something soft and golden to something that would test the very spine of her spirit. Fear doesn't arrive with thunder. It seeps in quietly, through words that sound gentle, through promises that echo like safety. For Maya, it began with that message, the one that said 500. That's all. It didn't read like a threat. It read like desperation. That was how Ethan framed it, as a plea for help. And Maya, who had built her life on compassion, couldn't yet see it for what it was. At first, she told herself he was just struggling. Everyone in Brooklyn was hustling for something. Rent, followers, a break that never came. Maybe this was just another kind of hustle, one he'd regret. So she withdrew $500 from her savings, the money she'd been collecting for her design school fund, and gave it to him in an envelope. She didn't ask questions. She didn't tell anyone. Ethan smiled when he took it, kissed her cheek, told her she was a real one. And for a brief moment, Maya believed the storm had passed. But the thing about silence is, it doesn't end the danger. It just gives it room to grow. Days turned into weeks. The city rolled toward winter. The cafe windows fogged with steam and chatter. But Maya felt herself fading into the background of her own life. She avoided mirrors. She avoided questions. Her once bright eyes dulled beneath sleepless nights. When Ethan texted again, this time asking for just one more payment, she froze. His words were colder now, shorter. There was no affection left between the lines. "I'm serious this time. You don't want me doing something stupid, right?" Her throat went dry. She stared at the message until her vision blurred. Maya typed out a dozen replies, anger, heartbreak, disbelief, and deleted them all. Finally, she wrote just one word. "Fine." She sent him another $500. The payments continued, monthly, mechanical, suffocating. Each one peeled away a little more of her. She stopped sketching during her breaks. The jar labeled Design School Fund sat nearly empty, a ghost of what it once held. And though no one in the cafe knew the truth, they felt the change. Her laughter had gone quiet. Her posture had curled in on itself. The regulars began to ask, "You okay, Maya?" She always smiled and said yes, because how could she explain it? How could she say that the boy she loved now held a blade made of pixels and fear, and that every month she had to buy her silence? Carla noticed, of course. Mothers always do. She saw the subtle tremor in Maya's hands when she counted her tip jar. She noticed her daughter's growing avoidance. How she slipped into her room quickly after dinner. How she seemed constantly on the verge of tears she never let fall. One evening, as the winter wind rattled the windows, Carla asked softly, "You've been quiet lately, sweetheart. Is something wrong?" Maya shook her head. "Just tired, Mom." but the words cracked as she said them. Carla didn't press, not that night. She simply watched her daughter retreat to her room, closing the door like someone trying to hold back the ocean. Maya's world shrank. She worked, paid, worked again. Ethan became a shadow in her phone, appearing only through notifications, each one a small threat disguised as familiarity. He never came to the cafe anymore. He said it was too risky. Sometimes she'd see his posts online, him smiling at rooftop parties, flashing new sneakers, tagging brands that never tagged him back. His captions were filled with empty ambition. Grind mode, chasing dreams, one breakaway. But to Maya, each post was a reminder. He was living off the pieces of her peace. She began deleting his pictures one by one. But no matter how many she removed, his presence lingered, like static in the background of her thoughts. It was a Thursday evening when the breaking point came. The cafe was nearly empty, rain tapping softly against the windows. Maya was closing up when her phone buzzed. Another message. "You're late with the payment. I'll give you until tomorrow." Her hands clenched. Her chest burned. Something inside her finally snapped. Not loudly, but with quiet defiance. She texted back, "You promised this would stop." He replied instantly, "And you promised to help me. Don't make me do something I'll regret." The rain outside blurred into the sound of her heartbeat. For the first time, she didn't cry. She just stood there, staring at her reflection in the dark window. Tired eyes, trembling lips, a girl who'd been taught to be kind until it destroyed her. That night, when she got home, she found her mother still awake, sitting at the kitchen table, papers spread out, the lamp casting a golden circle of light. Carla looked up. "You're late." Maya froze, the weight of weeks pressing behind her eyes. Carla tilted her head. "What's wrong, baby?" Maya's throat worked, but no words came. She tried to walk past, to escape the question, but Carla reached out and touched her wrist gently. That one small act, that simple warmth, undid her. Her chest caved, and the tears came fast. She sank into the chair opposite her mother and broke, the words tumbling out between sobs. Everything. The photos. The messages. The payments. The fear. Carla didn't interrupt. She listened, face pale but steady. When Maya's voice finally gave out, silence filled the room, thick and trembling. Carla reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "you're not going through this alone." The next morning, Maya didn't go to work. She sat in the living room wrapped in a blanket while her mother made phone calls. Quiet, purposeful, confident. Carla had always been the calm in chaos. But now she was something else too, a storm gathering direction. That afternoon, she went to the community center. There, she spoke to Officer Rivera, a trusted local cop who'd known Maya since she was a child. He listened carefully, his face darkening with each detail. When Carla finished, he nodded slowly. "We can handle this, but we'll need proof. His words, his actions, something we can record." Carla thought for a moment. "He's been meeting her to take the payments. He'll want another soon." Rivera leaned back. "Then maybe we don't stop him just yet. Maybe we let him walk right into it." That evening, as the sun dipped behind the brownstones, Carla returned home with a strange steadiness in her step. Maya sat by the window, sketchbook in her lap, lines faint and uncertain. Carla knelt beside her. "We're going to fix this," she said softly, not with anger, with smartness. Maya looked up, eyes red but alert. "How?" Carla smiled faintly, the kind of smile that hid plans behind it. "There's a festival next week. The neighborhood one by the river. Everyone will be there, including Rivera, including help you don't even know you have." Maya frowned, not understanding yet. Her mother touched her cheek. "You've been afraid long enough. It's time he learns what fear feels like." Outside, the city hummed, oblivious to what was beginning. The lights of Brooklyn flickered against the dark, and somewhere far away, Ethan was scrolling through his feed, unaware that the girl he thought he controlled had just stopped being his victim. The first shadow of courage had entered the glow. Morning came softly, with the gray-blue hush of a Brooklyn winter. The streets were slick with last night's rain, and the city exhaled its steam through the grates, like an old creature waking from uneasy dreams. In the Thompson apartment, the smell of coffee lingered, strong, bitter, grounding. Maya sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug, as her mother moved calmly through the small kitchen. It was the same space that had raised laughter, birthdays, tears, now filled with a different kind of quiet. Neither of them spoke much that morning. Words, after all, had already carried enough weight, but every small motion, the way Carla set down a spoon, the way Maya's fingers tightened around her mug, was filled with an unspoken promise. This wasn't over. Carla spent the next few days gathering threads. She met with Officer Rivera again, their conversations measured, strategic. Rivera had been part of the neighborhood for years, the kind of man who attended block parties and fixed bicycle chains for kids who couldn't afford new ones. He understood what was at stake. Revenge won't help her, he'd told Carla, but justice, the right kind, will. Together, they formed a quiet plan. The upcoming community festival would be their moment. Every year, the event turned the local park into a burst of life. Food stalls, music, families, laughter spilling through the air. It was tradition, the kind that tied generations together. This year, it would also become the setting for something else. A reckoning. Rivera would be there in plain clothes, recording equipment hidden in his jacket. The tech-savvy teens from the community center, kids Carla had mentored for years, offered their help too. They knew more about digital security than most adults could dream of. They'd use Ethan's public hotspot connection to access his cloud the moment Maya met him. Once inside, they'd erase every trace of the photos he'd weaponized against her. But for the plan to work, Maya would have to do the hardest thing imaginable: face him again. The days leading up to the festival moved like slow thunder. Maya returned to work at Bean and Thread, though she moved through it differently now. The cafe was still full of chatter and music, but she wasn't lost in it anymore. She noticed things: the clinking of cups, the rhythm of steam from the espresso machine, the comfort of repetition. Each sound anchored her. Each movement reminded her she still had control over her hands, her breath, her choices. And though fear still fluttered beneath her ribs, it no longer ruled her. She found herself drawing again. Small sketches at first. Coffee cups, city streets, the outline of a girl looking out a window. They weren't masterpieces, but they were hers. Sometimes her coworker Lila would glance over and smile. "Looks like your spark's coming back." Maya would smile faintly, not explaining why. At night, the apartment filled with the quiet sounds of planning. Carla at the kitchen table, writing notes, checking the festival schedule. Maya pacing by the window, rehearsing what she'd say to Ethan, how she'd keep him calm, how she'd hold her fear beneath a layer of stillness. There were moments when the weight of it all became too much. Moments when Maya would press her palms to her eyes and whisper, "I can't do this." But Carla was always there, steady as ever, her voice low and certain. "You already are doing it, sweetheart. Every day you wake up and breathe through this, you're fighting back. That strength, quiet, maternal, fierce, seeped into Maya like sunlight through frost." The night before the festival, Brooklyn glittered under the faint hum of string lights and storefront displays. Maya couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching her reflection tremble against the glass. The city below looked alive. Car lights tracing the streets like veins, laughter echoing from late-night bars, the distant rhythm of music. Somewhere out there, Ethan existed. The boy she had once loved, who now represented everything she wanted to forget. She thought of the way he used to look at her. Soft, genuine. She thought of the day that look changed. It was strange how betrayal didn't always come with shouting. Sometimes it came wrapped in charm, disguised as need. And when it left, it took something precious. Not just trust, but the belief that the world was safe. Maya closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "You're not what he made you feel." Morning rose over Brooklyn with the hum of excitement. The community festival filled the streets with color and scent, the air heavy with roasted corn, fried dough, and the sharp sweetness of lemonade. Kids ran between booths with painted faces. Music drifted from the main stage, cheerful and loud. Maya moved through it all like a ghost wearing her own face. She wore a simple denim jacket, her hair tied up, her breath even. She clutched her phone, not as a weapon, but as a promise of the plan. Across the park, she spotted Officer Rivera pretending to browse a food stall, a pair of sunglasses hiding his eyes. Nearby, two of the teens sat with laptops open, pretending to design flyers for the event. They nodded at her, the smallest, most reassuring nods. Everything was in place. At exactly 4:10 p.m., a message appeared on her screen, behind the stage. "Same deal. Don't be late." Her stomach tightened. The world around her, laughter, music, clapping, began to blur. She could hear only her heartbeat now. Carla squeezed her shoulder once. "You've got this," she said softly, and Maya believed her. As she walked toward the back of the stage, the sunlight slipped behind the clouds, casting the world in muted gray. The air thickened with the smell of damp grass and tension. Ethan was already there, leaning against the brick wall, phone in hand, that old smirk curling his lips. "Maya," he said, as if they were lovers meeting again. "Didn't think you'd show." She forced her voice to stay steady. "I said I would." "Good," he said, glancing around. "You've got the money?" She nodded, keeping him talking, her pulse roaring in her ears. Every second counted. Every word she gave him was time for the others to do their work. "Come on," "Don't look so scared," he said. "I told you, no one has to get hurt. You help me. I help you. Simple." He didn't know that. Just a few yards away, Rivera's recorder was catching every word. He didn't know that the teens, connected to his public hotspot, were already inside his cloud, deleting, scrubbing, erasing. What he saw was just Maya, trembling, handing him an envelope. What he didn't see was that she wasn't a victim anymore. In that moment, as she met his eyes, something inside her shifted. All the months of shame, the nights of fear, the silence she'd carried like a wound, they began to lift. She saw Ethan for what he truly was: small, pathetic, a boy hiding behind threats. And when he smirked again, she felt only pity. The sound of laughter from the festival drifted closer, louder, like the world itself was reclaiming its color. And as Rivera stepped forward from the shadows, as Ethan's words were caught and his face drained of confidence, Maya realized the cracks in her cup hadn't broken her. They had simply let the light in. That evening, as the sun sank behind the skyline and the festival lights shimmered across the park, Maya stood beside her mother, watching people dance. She felt empty and full all at once, exhausted, trembling, alive. Carla wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It's over now," she whispered. But Maya shook her head gently. "No, Mom, it's just beginning." If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. By the time the sun dipped below the skyline that evening, Brooklyn felt different. Lighter somehow, as though the air itself had exhaled. But inside the Thompson apartment, the world remained still, suspended in that delicate silence that follows survival. Maya sat by the window, her sketchbook open but untouched. Across the room, Carla leaned against the counter, speaking in low tones with Officer Rivera, who had come by after the festival to tie loose ends. Ethan was in custody. The recording, the deleted files, the evidence all clear and damning. The teens had wiped his accounts clean, cutting his digital wings before he could even flap them again. But for Maya, the aftermath didn't feel like victory. Not yet. Relief came in slow drips, uncertain and fragile. She wasn't afraid anymore, but she wasn't free either. Not completely. Freedom, she realized, wasn't just about safety. It was about trust, rebuilding it in herself, in others, in the world that had watched her crumble and hadn't known why. That night, the neighborhood was alive with whispers. Word traveled fast in Brooklyn, faster than the trains that roared beneath its streets. The story of Ethan's arrest, of what he'd done, spread from stoop to stoop, from shop to shop. Some whispered in disbelief, others in anger. But what surprised Maya most was not the gossip. It was the silence that followed it. The kind that carried respect instead of judgment. People began looking at her differently. Not with pity, but with something gentler. Admiration, perhaps. Recognition. Mrs. Alvarez from the corner store sent over a box of pastries. Just because. The old man who always played Sinatra left her a note on his coffee cup that read, "Proud of you, kid." Even the teens from the center, the ones who had helped her, started calling her the girl who turned the tables. And slowly, piece by piece, the shame began to dissolve. Carla, meanwhile, had her own quiet revolution brewing. She'd seen too many young girls lose themselves to fear, to manipulation, to the private kind of violence that never makes the news. She refused to let Maya's story end as just another cautionary tale. The following week, she called a meeting at the community center. The small computer lab buzzed with energy. Rivera at one end, the teens scattered among the chairs, a few parents, and Maya sitting quietly beside her mother. Carla stood at the front, her voice calm but commanding. "What happened to my daughter," she began, "isn't unique, but how we responded, that can be." She looked around the room, meeting each face with steady warmth. There are too many young women and men who are afraid of what someone might do with their photos, their messages, their trust, and they don't know where to go. So we're going to build a place, right here, where they can come before it's too late. Rivera nodded. "A community support hub," he added. "Private, local, safe. No shame, no judgment." One of the teens, a lanky boy named Luis, raised his hand. "We could teach people how to protect their stuff. Online privacy, cloud safety, encryption. Most people don't even know how easy it is for someone to abuse their trust digitally." Carla smiled. "Exactly. And just like that, something remarkable took root. A movement born not out of tragedy, but out of defiance. For Maya, the days that followed felt like breathing new air. She returned to work at Bean and Thread, not because she had to, but because she wanted to reclaim the space that had once been her comfort. The regulars greeted her with warmth. Her co-workers welcomed her back with a mix of joy and relief. The cafe owner, Mrs. Patel, set a fresh canvas beside the espresso machine one morning. "For you," she said, "to draw whatever this next chapter looks like." Maya stared at the blank page for a long time. The smell of coffee, the hum of conversation, all of it wrapped around her like a quiet blessing. And slowly, she began to draw. Not the past. Not Ethan, but the after. A woman standing in sunlight, her shadow long and sure. A city behind her, alive and watching, but not judging. Her hand didn't shake anymore. One evening, as dusk settled over the rooftops, Maya walked to the community center to see her mother. She found Carla in the computer lab, surrounded by the same group from the meeting, the glow of screens reflecting in their faces. They were building the new initiative already. Flyers printed, workshops planned, the words, "Digital Safety and Healing Project," shining at the top of a poster. Carla looked up when she saw her daughter in the doorway. "Come here," she said, motioning her over. Maya joined her, her heart swelling as she read the flyer. At the bottom, in simple bold letters, it said, "Empowered by the community. Inspired by Maya Thompson." Her throat tightened. "Mom, you didn't have to." Carla shook her head gently. "We all need faces for courage, Maya. Yours just happens to be one they trust." For the first time, Maya didn't shy away from that truth. Weeks passed. Brooklyn's cold softened into early spring. The community project began to grow, small at first, then steadily, like something inevitable. Teens came to learn, parents came to listen, strangers came to share stories they had buried for years. And through it all, Maya found her place again, not as someone broken, but as someone rebuilding. Sometimes, She'd walk through the center's hallways and hear laughter, typing, the clicking of keyboards, the sound of people protecting themselves, the sound of healing. In those moments, she understood something her mother had always known. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it gathers quietly, in rooms full of people who refuse to let fear have the last word. One late afternoon, Maya sat on a bench outside the center, sketching while the sunlight danced through the trees. Rivera approached, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Your favorite," he said, handing one over. "Extra cinnamon," she smiled, taking it. "You remembered." Hard to forget a kid who used to draw superheroes on the chalkboard after every community meeting. Maya laughed softly. "Guess I turned into one accidentally." He shook his head. "Not accidentally, intentionally." They sat in silence for a while, the hum of the city around them. Rivera glanced at her sketchbook, where she had drawn a girl standing beneath a sign that read, "Safe Space." "That's you, isn't it?" he asked. Maya looked down, then nodded. "Yeah, but not just me." As the sun began to sink, she watched the neighborhood around her, the same one that once terrified her with its closeness. Now it felt like home again. Every window, every face, every sound carried a piece of her story. Not the pain, but the recovery. The togetherness. And though she still had nights when memories returned, the fear, the betrayal, she knew she wasn't alone in them anymore. Carla had taught her that love could be rebuilt. The community had taught her that silence could be broken. And Maya had taught herself that courage could begin in the smallest of whispers and grow loud enough to change an entire street. That night, as she walked home, she passed Bean and Thread. Through the glass, she could see the canvas she had been painting, finished now. It showed a girl holding a cup cracked down the middle, light spilling through the fissure. Underneath, in small delicate letters, she'd written, "Sometimes the cracks are how the light finds you." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Voices of Auntie Donna. The festival night rose over Brooklyn like a pulse, steady, alive, electric. The streets shimmered with music and laughter, the air thick with roasted corn and candied sugar. Fairy lights stretched between buildings like threads of gold, binding the neighborhood together in one sprawling celebration. Maya stood beneath them, her breath shallow but steady. She wore a soft denim jacket over her dress, her hair pinned back loosely. An ordinary girl blending into an extraordinary evening. No one looking at her would have guessed the storm beneath her calm. She clutched a small envelope in her hand, empty, but sealed as if it held the world inside. That was the plan, to make it look real. Behind the stage, near the narrow alley lined with crates and equipment, Officer Rivera waited with a discreet recording device clipped beneath his jacket. A few paces away, the tech-savvy teens huddled by a food stall, their laptops hidden beneath napkins and paper cups. The hum of the crowd would mask everything. The plan had been rehearsed in whispers, drawn out on paper napkins in Carla's kitchen. Maya would meet Ethan as agreed. She would hand him the envelope. Keep him talking. The teens would connect to his hotspot, the one he always bragged about using, and drain his cloud while Rivera recorded the exchange. Every piece had to move in rhythm. every breath timed to courage. The clock struck 8. Ethan arrived on cue. He came from the edge of the crowd, his smirk sharp under the lights. The kind of smile that had once felt like safety, now it only made her skin crawl. "Maya," he said, his voice slick with false warmth. "Didn't think you'd actually show." "I said I would," she replied quietly. He looked her up and down, amused. "You look good. I guess fear suits you." Maya forced her hands to remain still, though her heart pounded against her ribs like a trapped bird. He gestured toward the envelope. "So you brought my money?" She nodded, swallowing. "Like you asked." Ethan took a step closer, close enough that she could smell the faint cologne he always wore. That synthetic sweetness that once meant intimacy, now poisoned with memory. "Good girl," he murmured. "You're learning." Somewhere in the crowd, Rivera's gaze locked onto them. The teens, unseen behind their screens, tapped into Ethan's hotspot the moment his phone pinged to life. Maya's voice wavered just slightly. "Can we just get this over with?" He chuckled. "Always in a rush. You should be grateful I haven't posted them yet." He leaned closer. "You know, I might keep one or two. As reminders." A tremor passed through her chest. Anger, not fear. It burned low and quiet, like coal. "You said if I paid—" "Oh, Maya," he interrupted. "You really think people like me stop because you ask nicely? No, you pay to buy time. That's how this works." That was the line Rivera needed. The recorder blinked red. The teen's code ran wild, lines of data flickering across screens as they accessed his cloud. One folder after another vanished into nothingness. Photos 01, deleted. Private Maya.zip, deleted. All backups, deleted. Within seconds, everything he had, every piece of control, dissolved. Ethan didn't notice. He was too busy playing the part of the villain he thought he was winning. He took the envelope from her hand, tore it open, and frowned at the blank papers inside. "What the—" "Nothing," Maya said softly. "There's nothing left to give." He turned sharply toward her, his face twisting. "What did you—" "Check your cloud," she whispered. "Your drive, your accounts." He froze. Somewhere the teens were suppressing laughter, half exhilaration, half disbelief. Ethan pulled out his phone, fingers flying over the screen. His eyes widened as he scrolled, confusion giving way to panic. No. "It's over," she said, her voice steady now, too calm for his liking. He looked up, fury snapping in his eyes. "You think this makes you safe? I can still—" Rivera stepped out from behind the crates, his voice cutting through the night like a blade. "You can stop right there, Ethan." The crowd's music swelled behind them, masking the tension that now crackled in the small alleyway. Ethan spun around, face draining of color. You set me up?" Maya didn't answer. She didn't need to. Rivera's tone remained measured, almost casual. "You've been recorded making threats and blackmail demands. That's enough to make sure you don't touch another person like this again." Ethan's mouth opened, then closed. The confidence drained out of him like spilled ink. "I didn't mean... It was just..." "Save it," Rivera said. "You'll have plenty of time to explain yourself downtown." 2 other officers emerged from the side entrance, quiet and deliberate. The moment they cuffed him, Ethan's voice broke into fragments, half excuses, half disbelief. The crowd, still unaware, roared in applause at a song playing on the main stage. The sounds of laughter and fireworks painted the sky, hiding the small moment of justice unfolding in its shadow. When it was over, Maya stood frozen for a long while. Rivera approached her, his expression softening. "You okay?" She nodded, her breath catching. "Yeah, I think I am." Behind her, Carla appeared. She had been watching from a distance, just in case. Without a word, she wrapped her arms around her daughter, holding her as though anchoring her to the earth. Maya finally let the tears fall. Not of fear this time, but of release. The festival lights blurred in her vision, shimmering like tiny stars caught in motion. Carla whispered against her hair. "You did it, baby. You took back your story." And for the first time, Maya believed it. Later that night, after Ethan had been taken away and the crowd began to thin, Maya walked through the heart of the festival. Children ran past her with balloons. A couple danced barefoot near the fountain. The air still smelled of cinnamon and rain. She paused near the stage, the very place where her courage had stood its test, and watched as volunteers packed away the lights. The same alley, where fear had once lived, was now just a strip of pavement again. Ordinary, harmless. She smiled faintly. Her phone buzzed with a message from one of the teens. A single line and a heart emoji. "He's wiped. Everything's gone. You're safe." Maya stared at the screen, her reflection faint against the glow. Safe. The word had never meant so much, nor felt so real. By the time she reached home, Brooklyn had gone quiet, the kind of quiet that hums with peace instead of secrets. Carla was waiting on the porch, 2 mugs of tea steaming in her hands. They sat side by side, the night settling around them like a soft blanket. "I didn't think it would end this way," Maya murmured. Carla smiled faintly. "Endings aren't what they used to be. You just found a new beginning." Maya looked out at the street, the flickering lampposts, the distant laughter, and knew her mother was right. The shadows were still there, of course. They always would be, but she wasn't standing inside them anymore. That night, in the small apartment above the quiet street, Maya lay awake listening to the heartbeat of the city she loved, steady, alive, forgiving. Somewhere beyond her window, Brooklyn carried on, loud, messy, and magnificent, unaware that within one of its countless homes, a young woman had just reclaimed her voice. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Voices of Auntie Donna. Morning found Brooklyn in that tender hush that follows the rain. The streets washed clean, the air soft and bright. The sky stretched pale and open, promising something lighter than yesterday. For the first time in months, Maya woke before her alarm. The room was awash in golden light, pooling on her sketchbook where a half-finished drawing waited. Lines of a city skyline, stitched together with strands of color that bled into dawn. She lay there for a while, letting the stillness settle into her bones. No messages, no dread, no phone vibrating on the nightstand with his name flashing on the screen. Just quiet. Freedom had a sound after all. The sound of nothing breaking. Downstairs, the aroma of frying plantains drifted through the apartment. Carla was already in the kitchen, humming to an old soul record that crackled softly from the radio. "Good morning, baby," she said as Maya entered, eyes bright with that calm strength only mothers carry. "You look lighter." "I feel lighter," Maya said, smiling as she sat down. Carla served her breakfast with a knowing glance. The center's already buzzing. Everyone wants to know when the workshops start. Rivera said the city might even sponsor a digital safety program. Maya looked up, surprised. "They're really doing it?" Carla nodded. "You started something, Maya. People are ready to talk about what no one talks about." The words sank deep, both comforting and strange. She hadn't meant to start anything. She just wanted to stop one man from stealing her peace. But maybe in doing that, she'd given others permission to fight for their own. Later that day, Maya walked to the cafe, Bean and Thread, the place where her story had begun, before everything fell apart. The bell above the door chimed, and Mrs. Patel looked up from behind the counter, her eyes softening. "Well, look who decided to grace us again," she said with warmth. "Brooklyn's bravest girl." Maya laughed, embarrassed. "Please don't call me that. Too late," Mrs. Patel replied. "Everyone else already is." Her co-workers clapped softly from the back. Someone had drawn a little heart on the specials board beside the words, "Welcome back, Maya." The cafe had always been her refuge, its chatter, its coffee steam, its people. Today it felt like a sanctuary reclaimed. She tied her apron and stepped behind the counter. The espresso machine hissed to life. The rhythm of it all, the whirring, the pouring, the smell, grounded her. Life had texture again. That afternoon, she sat by the cafe window sketching between orders. The drawing that had begun as a skyline had grown. Now it showed a woman standing on a rooftop, eyes closed, arms open to the wind. Below her, Brooklyn stretched in gold and gray, imperfect but alive. She didn't notice the man watching quietly from the corner table until he spoke. "You always draw the city like it's breathing." It was Rivera, holding his usual coffee, half gone. Maya smiled. "It feels like it's breathing again." He nodded, looking around the cafe. "You know, people still talk about that night. Not the drama, the courage. It changed how some of these kids see the internet, how parents talk to their teens. Carla's turning it into a whole movement." "She always does," Maya said softly. "She gets it from somewhere," Rivera replied. Their eyes met for a moment, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Not pity, not hero worship, just recognition. Two people who'd faced something dark and chosen light instead. That evening, the community center glowed with soft lamps and the laughter of children. The first digital healing workshop had drawn more people than anyone expected. Teens with phones and laptops, parents taking notes, older residents learning to lock their accounts and back up safely. At the center of it all stood Carla, speaking with her usual quiet authority, while the teens guided others through the basics of online safety. Maya lingered near the doorway, watching. She didn't plan to stay long, just long enough to see it all working. Then Carla spotted her. "Come on in, Maya. Don't hide in the back." The crowd turned as she stepped forward, cheeks flushing. Carla smiled. This all started with her courage. There was a small ripple of applause. Gentle, respectful, real. Maya felt her throat tighten. She wasn't used to being seen this way, not for her pain, but for her strength. One of the teens, Luis, grinned from his laptop. "We made a slideshow. You want to see?" He hit a key, and the projector flickered to life. Images filled the wall. Snapshots of Brooklyn, the cafe, the park, the kids, the festival lights. And then, one slide simply read, "Sometimes the light returns when one person refuses to hide." Maya blinked back tears. When the crowd dispersed, she walked up to her mother and hugged her tightly. "I didn't do this alone," she whispered. Carla smiled against her shoulder. "No one ever does." As the weeks passed, the project flourished. Maya began volunteering on weekends, helping design flyers and logos for the center. Her sketches, once private, now lined the walls, each one a small piece of healing turned into art. And slowly, the world began to open its doors again. Her design school application, once abandoned, found its way back to her desk. She mailed it one quiet morning, her hand steady as she dropped it into the box. A beginning disguised as an envelope. One crisp afternoon, months later, Maya stood on the rooftop of her building, the city sprawling before her like a living mural. The same skyline she'd drawn countless times, now real beneath the blush of sunset. She closed her eyes and listened. The hum of traffic, the laughter from a window nearby, the soft rustle of the wind. The world had moved on, so had she. But something remained, the strength that came from surviving, the warmth of a mother's faith, the beauty of a community that chose compassion over judgment. Below, the lights of the community center flickered on. A group of kids streamed inside, their laughter carrying upward. Maya smiled. She took out her sketchbook, turning to the last page, a blank sheet waiting. Then, with a slow breath, she began to draw again. This time, not a city. Not a girl, just light. Lines of it, bending and breaking and finding their way through cracks, the same way it had found her. Later that night, she left her sketchbook open on the cafe counter for Mrs. Patel to see. On the page was a small note written beneath her newest piece. "To the ones who fall and rise again, may your stories find the light." Mrs. Patel smiled, touching the edge of the paper softly, as if afraid to disturb the magic. Outside, Brooklyn shimmered, imperfect, alive, forgiving. And somewhere among its lights, a young woman walked home under a sky that finally, truly belonged to her. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Voices of Auntie Donna.